people of the vinyl world. I'm back to do sort of a recent vinyl finds video. This is the second installment of the Brink Collection, and if you haven't seen my first video about this, I guess here, I don't know, is the link to that. The gist of it is that I had a friend who sadly passed. A great tragedy, a pretty close friend, and I was able to buy some of his record collection from the family, and I've decided to do this separate from my recent vinyl finds videos and call it the Brink Collection, just to isolate it from my usual finds, sort of. So before I start showing you the stuff that I've listened to from his collection, here's the intro. The thing is with this collection is he had such a vast sort of interest in music. He was first and foremost a punk guy, I think that, and ska, but I think that he came from sort of that background and culture. So when I saw Sade in the collection, something I didn't have for myself, I took it home with me. This is a fantastic record, and Sade is sort of an artist that she has never really resonated with me. I know that Lasse talked a lot about the production, that her record sounded really good. Anyways, this is a Gatefold First Press UK First Press. Super glad to have that now, and that being a part of my collection. The next one is a reissue that he had, and we talked intensely about Cat Stevens, and this is T for Tilleman, T for the Tilleman by Cat Stevens. This is I think one of the latest sort of ordinary reissues, maybe Back on Black or something like that. But it actually sounds really, really good. I mean, I wish I had an original. I think in one time I did have an original, but it sounded pretty dull, so I sold it. But for what it is, it sounds really, really good. And the music is just to die for. Again, his music taste is everywhere. But this is one of those sort of records that we could talk about that I didn't have in my collection. When it comes to jazz, he really started to explore jazz when I started to work with him. We worked at the same place. And he knew jazz. His dad was a jazz musician, I think, in one way or another, way back in the day. But I don't think that besides the traditional jazz or the big band jazz, he had ever sort of dived into the depths of what jazz really is. So this was in his collection. A lot of the jazz stuff that he had was stuff that I already have because I had recommended it to him. But this he bought on a whim, I guess. This is a Dole pressing, and it sounds just like a MP3, not even a CD. But I didn't have it. It will remind me of Lasse, so I will keep it. The personnel on here is Charles Mingus, obviously, Jackie McLean, and John Handy, Booker Irvin, Pepper Adams, Jimmy Knepper, Will Dennis, Horace Parlan, and Mal Waldron on piano, and Danny Richmond on drums. Great lineup, great record, pretty dull sound quality. The next one is a 2014 release, and I know that these guys has been here in my town, and we live in a pretty small town, but they have been here and played in a church a couple of times. I know my dad went to see them. I've never seen them. So when I saw this and I knew he went to the concert, I grabbed it. This is a signed record by Judah and the Lion, Kids These Days, and sort of Americana folk is the best way to describe it. If you haven't heard Judah and the Lion, I recommend everyone to check them out. I think they are on pretty much every streaming platform there is before you buy the vinyl. But yeah, Judah and the Lion, great new music, 2014, but new music for me. This is, I don't have much Yardbirds. So I kept this. This is the Yardbirds Shapes of Things, a reissue of a pretty lousy sort of compilation record. I think at least 2 LP set, recordings from 64 to 66, and I think we have Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, and Jimmy Page on one recording, or the next on this one. I'm pretty sure, at least. Sound quality so, but you get most of the sort of big hits by the Yardbirds. So yeah, I mean, Kinks is also one of those bands that, I mean, when I see them, I buy them. I've never seen this for a reasonable price when I was out there, because if I did, I would own this already. It would be in my collection. But Face to Face was one that Brink had, Lasse had in his collection. This is, I think, late 70s, early 80s reissue, but it sounded really good. And the more I listen to the Kinks, the more I respect their work, really. So I'll keep buying Kinks stuff when I see them. I mean, Lasse was huge into that sort of the British music. I think coming from punk with Clash and Six Pistols and those, and then post-punk with Jam, Magazine, stuff like that. This is, I guess, a pretty logical step for him to go to or go back to. He loved The Who also, which you will see, I think, maybe if not in this one, the next one. Again, new music. He talked about this maybe the last months that he was alive. This is Sass. The only one I think that he had with Sass. Modern, sort of pop is the way I could describe it. And it sounds good. This was released in 2010, but I think the reissue is from last year or something like that. Sound quality, okay. And music, it's good. It's not my sort of ordinary cup of tea, but when I listen to it, I'm listening to my friend a little bit, so it gets better just knowing that he had dropped his needle on this not too long ago, and now I'm sitting here listening to it. I mean, The Who, the Kinks, and obviously he also had Small Faces, and this was a Small Faces record that I didn't have in my collection. Again, I think late 70s, maybe mid 70s reissue on Red Decca. This is the mono version of that. Sounded good. And a Small Faces record that, as I said, I didn't have. Also one iconic, classic vinyl record that I would pick up if I found one for a decent price when I was out there digging, but I've never stumbled upon it. So a nice addition to the collection, and one that I know that Lasse really appreciated. Again, a little bit more modern, and I'm going to show you 2 records by these. These are Nouvelle Vogue. I think that is how you pronounce it. And their records, I think they are up to 4 records now, is covers sort of French. I don't know the genre, but typical French folk music, maybe. Versions of different punk, post-punk, soul, rock tunes. And they do a great job with it. Sounds good. Yeah, I really like it. It's I'm gonna need to visit this more, but it's first listen, great. This is the second one, Band Apart. I think it's the second one. I have one more that I bought from Lasse's family that I haven't listened to yet, so that will come in another video, I guess. Yeah, so I told you The Who it was big. I actually had this, but this is, if I did all my research correct, first UK press on track with the title Meaty Beaty Big and Bouncy with The Who up here instead of a larger sort of print. And there's the track records. And it's just a compilation, one of the best, maybe one of the best compilations ever of a band. There's so many good songs on this single LP. It's just insane. And I'm not even a huge The Who fan, but I really appreciate this. You can just drop the needle, listen to it all the way through, and there's not a dull moment on it. The next one I think that he bought just because of the sound quality, and the sound quality is good. It's not super great, it's great. And this is Sonitarian Brownie McGee at Sugar Hill, original album plus bonus tracks, and it's a DMM cutting, original recording remaster. With this one, yeah, it sounded good. 2017, it's harmonica and guitar with vocals, typical sort of almost a little bit folky blues. Not a favorite, but it's not bad. And it reminds me a lot of Lasse, so it's one that goes into the shelves. And this one, this is maybe one of those records that is most Lasse for me, the specials. He went not long ago. I don't know if it was before the Corona crisis or afterwards. I think it was before, just before. He went on concert in London with specials. This is one of those iconic sort of... Is it post-punk ska? Hell with it. Punk, ska, punk. With those iconic tracks. A Message to You, Rudy, and Let's Make It All Right, Country Jungle, Monkey Man. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, this is the first Canadian press with this cover artwork. He had a UK first press also that is in the To Listen To pile. So this is so much Lasse that I needed them both. Just the thought of it going to another collector was just, I couldn't stand it. And the last two, and these are, I didn't know that he owned this one. And this is one that I've been looking for years and years. This is Odyssey on Mo West. I think second press, but from the same year. A great soulful record all the way through. Not a bad moment, but then again, no sort of hits or singles or anything like that. It's one of those records that just fell into, I guess, obscurity, and nowadays they fetch some money because people know that it's good, and I'm one of them. So he having this, I don't know if he knew that he had this, but a great one. He never talked about it anyway. And the last one is one that I knew because he came to me at work and said that when he was putting his stuff on Discogs, he found this and it was worth so much money. And he remembered when he bought it, he went in at the time when this was released, he went into the record store. They sold almost everything they sold was CDs, but they had this on vinyl and he wanted it on vinyl, so he bought it. And I'm talking about Paul's Boutique with the Beastie Boys. This is a US first 3-fold or 4-fold press. Folds out like this. So a first press of this. It's not my cup of tea at all, and I don't think it was Lasse's cup of tea either. So this is, I'm probably going to sell this down the line to finance some of the other records that I bought. But yeah, for the right price, obviously. But nice one to find when I dug through his collection with the family. So it's nice to be able to sit here and listen to his records. I mean, if I'm glad that I took a chance and buying it, or the records that I could afford to buy. I don't regret it, even if it's a lot of money. But just like the thought that I said, the thought of another collector or just spreading these that I got from the family, spreading them in the wind, just seemed unfair to me. We are talking about a lifetime of collecting records, and even if he at the end bought mostly CDs, which I also bought his entire CD collection. But the records back in the day, yeah, it would be so unfair to him to just throw it in the wind. So I'm glad I could get it. And every time I play a record now from his collection, I remember Lasse, which is pretty neat. So yeah, that's it. Please leave me comments if you have any comments, and I'll talk to you in my next video. Have a great day, everyone.